How long did this mistake
It lasted, I'd say, about 2 years.
Yeah. 2 years? This wasn't no
2
mistake,
years.
this was a decision.
Exactly.
So for 2 years, you were sleeping with your wife's sister?
Yes.
Regularly?
Yes.
Often, very often.
Without protection?
Without protection.
Lord.
You just standing there, Mr. Wallace, like you don't have a piece of remorse in the world. Now, you don't?
No, ma'am.
You don't have any issues with cheating on your wife?
No, she's not a victim.
She's not?
No.
Oh, fill us in.
Right away, you could tell this case was about to get messy. The Lang family wanted to know if Mr. Lang was baby Janelle's dad, but doubts were in the air. Ms. Brown and her mom came ready to argue, and it was clear this drama was just starting.
Mr. Lang, you and your mother, Ms. Lang, have been waiting in agony to find out if you're indeed the biological father of your little daughter, Janelle. Now, although you have serious doubt, Mr. Lang, you want nothing more than for this child to be yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Things got spicy when Ms. Lang said Ms. Brown hooked up with Mr. Dixon, Mr. Lang's old friend. Ms. Brown said that was a lie, and Dixon was just trying to cause trouble. Everyone was throwing shade, and it was only getting wilder.
Because I found out that Miss Brown slept with my son's best friend, from the sandbox best friend. I don't think she knows whether it's my son's or Mr. Dixon's.
I've never slept with Mr. Dixon. Mr. Dixon and Mr. Lang have been not friends for a while. They've been going at it, trying to fight each other.
So you're saying her assertion isn't true?
No, it's not true.
All right.
Their relationship sounded like a soap opera. Ms. Brown said Mr. Lang cheated constantly, but he was super excited when she got pregnant. Then, Mr. Dixon dropped hints that the baby might be his, making everything even messier.
I was at the doctor. I came home and I gave him the paper saying I was pregnant. He was excited. He stayed with me through the whole entire pregnancy, birth and delivery.
Did you have any doubts at that time?
Not at that time, no, I didn't.
And what made you start to have doubt?
When Mr. Dixon got in the picture, and he had told me to stop messing with her because the baby she's pregnant with could possibly be his.
Oh.
Mr. Lang was all in at the birth, cutting the cord and claiming the baby looked like him. That is, until he started questioning the baby's hairline. Ms. Lang chimed in with doubts, and the awkwardness was off the charts.
He thought it was his. Can I interject right there? He thought it was his. She looked like him to me too, right there. I said, oh, look at your baby, woo, 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 and all that. And then he pulled the hat off. He said, Mama, what's up with this hairline?
That is his daddy hairline. Stop playing.
Girl, please. That's what I said too. But his daddy is 51 years old.
The drama spilled onto Facebook, where everyone aired their dirty laundry. Ms. Brown and Ms. Lang went at it in the comments, dragging each other nonstop. This was peak chaos, but the big bombshell was still coming.
The whole 2 years we was in a relationship, every time we'd be on Facebook arguing anything, his mom would get on Facebook on her post and start getting into it every single time.
No, honey, I didn't get no child accident. Yes, I did quit my job to raise my grandbaby, but that was then.
Why?
I have 2 jobs now.
Mr. Lang, you are not her father.
Are you serious?
Ma'am, we're not going to have that kind of language in this court.
Oh boy, this starts like a crazy soap opera you didn't know you needed. Judge Lake introduces the case of Griffin versus Richmond. So, Mr. Griffin, a married dude, had a 2-year fling with his wife's stepsister, Mrs. Richmond. Now they're in court fighting over who the dad is. Trust me, you're gonna be shaking your head the whole time.
Mr. Griffin, you were a married man who had a 2-year affair with your wife's stepsister, the defendant. You say that relationship produced a daughter, but Ms. Richmond claims you are not her daughter's biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, this is wild, like really wild. Mrs. Richmond admits she had the affair because she was young and careless, and Mr. Griffin confirms it went on for 2 years without protection. Judge Lake wastes no time calling them out for their decisions, especially since it's all in the family. But wait, things get even messier, like family reunion is ruined messy.
How long did this mistake
It lasted, I'd say, about 2 years.
2 years? This wasn't no
2
mistake,
years.
this was a decision.
Exactly.
So for 2 years, you were sleeping with your wife's sister?
Yes.
Regularly?
Yes.
Often, very often.
Without protection?
Without protection.
Lord.
This is where it gets extra awkward, y'all. Mrs. Richmond says she and Mr. Griffin got close because he'd give her rides home after visiting her stepsister. Mr. Griffin casually mentions he'd been married for a decade at the time. No biggie, right? But just wait, because their bonding time comes with a whole lot of drama to unpack.
Because he was taking me home from when I used to go over to their house to visit my stepsister and stuff.
How long had you been married at the time, Mr. Griffin?
I'm still about 10 years.
So you all had known each other for an extended amount of time.
All in the family, Your Honor. I was in love, so I think that's why I chose to tell him first before anyone else that he was the father.
Oh, you're gonna love this part. It's peak awkwardness. Mrs. Richmond says she told Mr. Griffin she was pregnant, and he was like, yeah, sounds about right. But then, nothing. No follow-up, no real conversation. Turns out, that was just the warm-up for the chaos coming next.
As I remember, he said yes right off. He came over to my house, and he picked her up, and he went up on the stairs, and he, put her up to the light, and he said, yeah, she could be mine. And that was the last we ever discussed her really seriously, of him seeing her actually, of me and him talking about her, being
I never seen her.
Yeah, I've never.
That's because she left.
Hold on.
This is where you realize keeping track of everyone is like solving a puzzle with missing pieces. Mrs. Richmond admits she was with 2 other guys around the same time, but still only told Mr. Griffin about the pregnancy. Mr. Griffin stays confident he's the dad, but let's be real, this story is already bananas. And don't worry, it gets even more bonkers from here.
I did tell him that I was pregnant, but also I did tell him he was the father, but at the time he also knew I was, with other people also, and he was a married man, so, and I'm sure he was with other people too, so I was with 2 other guys, no.
Why did you only choose to tell Mr. Griffin?
Mr. Griffin was the one I was with mostly all the time, mostly.
Right.
Now, here's where it feels like a detective show. Mr. Griffin's other daughter, Lakesha, found Taikia's name on child support papers while snooping around his room. She decided to hit up MySpace, remember that ancient site, and send Taikia a message saying, hey, I think we're sisters. Of course, Taikia thought this was crazy, but trust, it only gets weirder.
Well, I was in my dad's room one day because my sisters was taking up the other mirrors, so I was in there doing my hair, and I see some mail from Jackson County Child Support, and I began to look at it, and I seen her name, Taikia's name. After that, I decided to look her up on MySpace so I could see what she looked.
Who told you about her?
My mother.
Plot twist alert. Mrs. Richmond says a DNA test from years ago proved Mr. Griffin wasn't the dad. But then Mr. Griffin is like, hold up, I got papers saying I am the dad. So who's lying here? Honestly, this whole thing is turning into one big he said, she said situation, and it's about to explode.
When I moved to Wisconsin with her, when she was almost 2, we took a paternity test at that time, okay? I went on and did the child support, and she told me that, well, the test proves that he's not the father, so do you have another name to give me?
You were told he was not the father.
Yeah.
Do you remember submitting to this DNA testing years ago?
I do, and from my knowledge, that I got the paper saying I was.
And then, bam, the mood shifts hard. Taikia shares how losing her husband made her want to find out who her real dad is. She talks about the heartbreak of him dying on the same day as her possible sister's wedding. Seriously, this family's timing is the worst. If you thought this was just a messy drama, get ready for some real tears.
One of the other sisters, Griffin sisters, her wedding was May 21st, 2011. She invited me and my husband believed I looked like some of the other sisters. He was like, yeah, we should go. I don't think they're your family, so why would you go all the way to Michigan to a wedding?
You'd think Mr. Griffin would step up here, but nope, he's full of regret and late apologies. He says sorry for not being there for Taikia, but Judge Lake doesn't let him off easy, calling him out for his role in the mess. This is the part where you start yelling at your screen. And then, just when you think it can't get crazier, the results are finally in.
Well, I'm sorry for your husband, and I wish that I had been there for you. I'm sorry for not being there for you.
I do believe you have a level of regret. You come from a generation where I'm sure there was a level of well enough alone. Some people believe that. We hear those stories in this courtroom.
Brace yourself, because this reveal is something else.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Griffin, you are not her father. 32 years of thinking you were this woman's father.
The episode begins with everyone settling in the courtroom. Mr. Kidd insists he's the dad, but Ms. Rawlings says, nope, not you. She claims he knew he couldn't have kids, so why act surprised?
Mr. Kidd, you say Ms. Rawlings is a manipulative user who convinced you that you were the father of her son, Nathaniel, then changed her mind when someone better came along. You and your mother say Ms. Rawlings' mind games have wreaked emotional havoc on your family, and you are 100% positive are her son son's father.
Mr. Kidd believes the child is his because Ms. Rawlings told him so and even wrote him letters. He says, she said it's mine, so it's mine. But clearly, the court session shows it's not that simple.
Well, Your Honor, when this first started off, she came to me and told me that he was mine. She was sending me letters when I was gone.
And so you were away when she found out she was pregnant?
I went away a month after she found out she was pregnant.
And did you tell him it was his child, Ms. Rawlings?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Rawlings explains she was seeing another guy at the same time. She denies ever telling Mr. Kidd he was the father, saying he just assumed. This love triangle is messy and complicated.
How it happened was we met through a mutual friend. I didn't know anything about Mr. Kidd. Starting off, my mutual friend ended up leaving, and the situation that I was in, everything progressed and everything started off. Somehow another female came into the picture. I went off and did my own thing and was dealing with him and another gentleman also.
Ms. Rawlings says Mr. Kidd's rare blood issue makes it hard for him to have kids and might harm her baby. Ms. Jenkins, Mr. Kidd's mom, says it's not as dramatic as it sounds, but still raises questions. Cue the drama and confusion.
When I found out I was pregnant, Mr. Kidd told me himself that he has some type of rare form blood disease that me and his child would die if I was pregnant by him.
Your Honor, it's not a rare blood disease. I am ARH negative and he is ARH negative. If she's RH positive and doesn't get the necessity shot during the pregnancy, it could prevent her from having future children or that child could pass away.
Ms. Jenkins discovers Nathaniel through a photo and says, "This baby looks like my son's twin." After meeting him, she's convinced he's her grandson. Her determination drives the case forward.
I got a phone call from my daughter and she said, "Mom, you need to look at this picture." Sent me a picture of the baby. I was like, "Who got my son's baby pictures?" She said, "That's not your son." I said, "Yes, that is. I gave birth to him. I know who he is." So I contacted his friend who gave me Miss Rawlings' number. I called her and asked, we talked for a couple weeks, and I asked if I could see the baby, and she said yes.
Ms. Rawlings lets Ms. Jenkins visit Nathaniel, saying it's good for him to have family memories. Despite her doubts about paternity, it's a heartfelt moment with lingering tension.
Me being me as a mother, and I wasn't able to grow up with my father. If Mr. Kidd can't see the moments that he's missing, at least his mom will be able to have them, and his family has some stories to tell.
It's truly a beautiful sentiment, but as you stand here at the defendant podium, you say you know Mr. Kidd is not your child's biological father.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Rawlings mentions another man who could be the dad. He even visited the hospital, thinking the baby resembled him. The plot thickens as the courtroom awaits clarity.
The other potential father, did he ever acknowledge that he could be the father?
Yes, he did, because he was the one that actually told me to get a test to see if I was pregnant. And me and him were sick together, looking at pictures, and he questioned it again. He was like, "Are you sure the other guy is your child's father? Because he looks like me." And going through pictures, Dad, even his brothers said, yeah.
Ms. Jenkins reveals she cared for Nathaniel when Ms. Rawlings struggled, even using a handwritten custody note. It was the best solution at the time, adding another twist to the case.
She was going through a situation and got kicked out of where she lived because her choice of men are not just the greatest, I guess, in the world. He wasn't safe. She wasn't safe. She was trying to get her life together. She gave me the baby a period of time with a handwritten...
How long?
I had him for a month and a couple days. And I got a handwritten letter of custody.
Dr. Gator explains Mr. Kidd's condition doesn't completely rule out fatherhood. While interesting, it leaves the courtroom still eager for definitive answers.
So I think there's two separate issues here. There was an issue about RH blood incompatibility.
Yes.
And that has to do with a mother and a baby. And if there's different blood types between the father of the baby, positive and negative, from mumps to repeated urinary tract infections to STIs like gonorrhea and chlamydia, which then causes scarring and makes it difficult for you to emit sperm.
The results reveal
it has been determined by this court. Mr. Kidd, you are the father.
Buckle up, because this is where the madness begins. Looper vs. Downs kicks off with Miss Looper, accusing Mr. Downs of denying her twins, Braley and Bishop. She thought he was a sweet family guy, but the drama quickly proves otherwise.
Ms. Looper, you say you thought the defendant was a respectful, church-going family man who turned out to be anything but. You claim that after giving birth to your twins, Braley and Bishop, Mr. Downs denied fathering your babies.
Mr. Downs denies paternity, claiming suspicious texts on Miss Looper's phone point to other possibilities. Their rocky relationship, full of secrets, spirals into chaos. You won't believe how fast things unravel.
I was at her house. Just something told me to pick up the phone, and I did it. And I'm looking through the phone. I'm like, okay. And I bring it to her, and I'm seeing messages from other dudes and all this other stuff. So I'm like, what is this? Messages are just trying to, hook up with her and stuff like that. So
Is she accepting the advance?
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Yes, Your Honor. I was in the process of closing those doors.
Wedding plans within 2 months, but then Mr. Downs finds sketchy texts from other guys on her phone. This is where the real drama kicks in.
Yeah, we moved really fast. We had a wedding date in 2 months. Relationship changed tremendously though after he went through my phone. Our vibe was different. We weren't hanging out as much. When I found out I was pregnant, I called him and he didn't even answer. I sent him a text message. He was really nonchalant about it, but rub my feet, rub my belly. He would get up at 2 a.m., go get me ice and hot Cheetos. He took me to every ultrasound appointment if he didn't have work.
The twins arrive, and Mr. Downs questions Braylee's paternity right in the hospital, citing her lighter complexion. Awkward doesn't even begin to cover it.
As soon as they brought Braylee into the room, the first thing he said was, "Do you guys do DNA tests here? I've never had a kid come out that light." That's the first thing he said when he seen her. But he did go see my son.
I know it don't really matter about the complexion and stuff, but like I said, all my kids favor me just extremely. I looked at Bishop. I seen more Bishop in me than Braylee. At the same time, like I said, I know there's another man been involved.
A Snapchat photo leads another man to claim Braylee might be his daughter, raising more questions. The saga of who's the daddy only gets wilder.
After I had the baby, I posted Braylee on Snapchat, and the other guy who the messages he seen wrote me and sent me a picture of his daughter and told me that, I believe that that's my daughter.
Wow, so you posted a picture of Braylee, and the other man you were having sex with wrote to you and said, "I think this is my daughter."
Correct.
Both parents entertain the idea that the fraternal twins might have different fathers. Cue the messiest revelations yet.
Mr. Downs, do you feel like you could be the father of one twin and someone else be the father of the other?
Yes, ma'am. I just like with Bishop, I felt a bigger bond with my son. Like every time I see him when we video chat, like his face just lights up when I'm talking to him. Like, you know what I'm saying? He knows my face, he knows who I am. My son, man, when I see him, and it's like we connect.
Miss Looper moves to California with the twins, leaving Mr. Downs in the dust. He comes home to an empty house and panics, only to discover she's gone without explanation.
Yeah, I left to California.
Why did you leave for California?
For several reasons. I was unhappy with our relationship at this point, and we were gonna have to move back with his mom. And they're gonna be uncomfortable with me. They're like, I'll take it from my mom, not yours. I just felt more comfortable going home. I was unhappy in the relationship. It wasn't working.
So you went back home.
Correct.
I feel like that she knew more than what she was telling me from the jump.
Mr. Downs' frantic calls finally reach her, and her casual response leaves him and everyone else stunned. But the biggest shocker is still ahead.
So I get to my house and there's nobody there. So I'm thinking somebody done came in my house. Anybody could have did something to my kids, my girl. So I'm like, man, what's going on? So I'm calling and I'm blowing his phone up and I don't get no response. So then I'm really starting to get worried. Soon as I call, she picks up the first ring. I'm like, what are you doing? Where are you at? Oh, I'm with a friend. I was like, no, you're not with no friend. You're gonna tell me where you at with my kids.
The DNA results reveal.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Downs, you are not the father.
Oh boy, here we go. Miss Reed kicks things off by suing Miss Austin for $5,000 because she thinks Miss Austin broke up her marriage. Oh, and she wants a DNA test to prove her husband didn't father Miss Austin's baby. Yep, it's already a mess.
Ms. Reed, you are demanding that Ms. Austin have a paternity test administered on her child, whom she claims was fathered by your estranged husband. Additionally, you are suing his mistress, Miss Austin, in the amount of $5,000 for alienation of affections.
Miss Austin claps back, saying she doesn't owe Miss Reed anything because she wasn't the one married, and maybe Miss Reed needs to worry about herself. The courtroom vibe is already spicy, and you can just feel the tension in the air.
Ms. Austin, you say you are here today to defend your reputation and prove that Mr. Wallace is the father of your child. You argue that you do not owe Ms. Reed anything, and she needs to move on with her life, pay her own bills.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Miss Reed spills all the tea about how she found out about her husband's affair. Spoiler alert, it involved a random phone call, a shocked wife, and a girlfriend who apparently didn't know about the wife. And that's just the warm-up.
And I found out about Mrs. Austin. One day I came in from the hospital from having my second child, and Raniel's phone rang, and I just so happened to answer the phone. Mrs. Austin, she said, I'm Raniel's girlfriend. I said, Raniel's girlfriend, did you know that Raniel was engaged to me, just had a baby? She said, no. I packed my things and I left with my 2 kids at the time. and I went and stayed at my aunt's house.
If you thought things couldn't get wilder, Miss Austin jumps in to say she had no clue Mr. Wallace was married when they met. Turns out Facebook exposed him because she saw wedding pics Miss Reed posted. Classic.
When I met Ryan, they was not married. He nor told me that they was engaged neither. I found out on Facebook that Ryan and Mrs. Reed was married when she posted a picture up there of their marriage life. That's when I found out. And yes, I did confront Ryan about the marriage, but at the same token, Ryan would never came to me if Dominique was Miss Reed was taking care of home, right?
Miss Austin blames Miss Reed, saying if she had been a better wife, Mr. Wallace wouldn't have been looking for attention elsewhere. Miss Reed is not having it and calls her out for being a willing side chick. It's a lot, and we're just getting started.
Your Honor, that means that she didn't mind playing the role as his little mistress, because any woman wouldn't sit there and be in a relationship with a man that has a woman. Like, as me as myself, I have respect, and I don't want to be no one's mistress.
Well, he led me on. When they was married, Ryan was calling, he was texting me, telling me how he wants to get away from Dominique. The reason why he said he was with her is because of her money. That's what he said.
Enter Mr. Wallace, the man at the center of all this chaos. He struts in, admits to cheating, and says he has 3 kids with Miss Reed. Oh, and he doesn't look one bit sorry, like not even a little.
You married to Ms. Reed.
Yes.
But you were sleeping with Ms. Austin. You just standing there, Mr. Wallace, like you don't have a piece of remorse in the world. Now, you don't?
No, ma'am.
You don't have any issues with cheating on your wife?
No, she's not a victim.
She's not?
No.
Oh, fill us in.
Miss Reed roasts him for constantly coming back to her while spending Miss Austin's money on their family. Mr. Wallace just stands there like he's in a casual conversation, not the middle of a disaster. This guy has nerves of steel, or maybe no shame at all.
If you was precious to be in a relationship with me, why did you constantly come home to me? Why did you constantly, every time I got off work, was there, and you could have left and went home to your mother, your sister, or whoever the case may be?
Your Honor, she says you kept coming back, and she said that you were spending Miss Austin's money that she was sending to you on her.
Correct. And
yes.
Everybody's laughing.
Miss Austin insists her baby is Mr. Wallace's because they didn't use protection, unlike her other guy. Yes, you read that right. There's another guy. This love triangle is turning into a love octagon.
Don't you say no, boy, and she look just like you. Everything on you, she got on that, everything.
she looked like the other guy who is currently her boyfriend.
I had sex with Ryan first, and I used unprotected sex with Ryan, and I used protected sex with the other boy.
But Your Honor, she's lying. The boy told me that he had unprotected sex with Demiru several times because he do not like to use protection.
Miss Reed chimes in to talk about how her kids now get less attention and support from their dad since Miss Austin came into the picture. If things weren't messy enough, Miss Austin throws more shade, and now everyone's yelling. Fun times, right?
The whole situation is just wrong. I was there for Ryan for whatever, and he still went out and cheated on me with Mrs. Austin, and it was wrong.
You feel like it was her fault that he went out?
I feel like it was his fault too because, like, she didn't know what was going on, like she said. Ryan was sitting up lying to her, so I can't really blame her. But then again, I can because she knew all about me and still slept with my husband. She still was in a relationship with my husband.
Wait for it, a third woman enters the chat. Miss Roberts claims she has a 5-month-old baby with Mr. Wallace, and he's denying paternity. You can almost hear the audience gasp.
I also have a 5-month-old child by Mr. Wallace that he claims he's not the father of.
You also have a 5-month-old child that you say was fathered by Mr. Wallace, but he's denying that child as well.
Yes.
Hold on 1 second. Just 1 second.
Judge Lake shuts down Miss Reed's alienation of affection claim, saying Mr. Wallace was the one chasing after these women. But let's be real, this third baby drama has everyone questioning just how messy this guy's life really is.
Now, in order for you to sue for alienation of affection, you have to prove that this woman, young woman, planned to destroy your marriage. I don't see that. It was his free will that started this affair. Are we clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
So for this reason, my judgment is for the defendant.
The moment of truth, Mr. Wallace is the father of Miss Austin's baby. Miss Austin celebrates like she just won the lottery, while Miss Reed is not impressed. Meanwhile, Mr. Wallace looks like he just remembered he left the stove on.
In the case of Reed versus Austin, when it comes to baby Demuriel, Mr. Wallace, you are her father.
Told you, dummy. She looks just like you, dummy.
Miss Roberts gets her turn, saying Mr. Wallace didn't tell her he was married. She also claims he's dodging responsibility for her baby. Mr. Wallace? He says the kid doesn't look like him, which of course makes everyone roll their eyes.
Ms. Roberts, you are here requesting a paternity test to prove to the defendant, Mr. Wallace, that he is the father of your 5-month-old son, Danielle. You have asked the court to administer a lie detector test to prove he's still trying to be with you.
Miss Roberts and Miss Reed team up for a moment to roast Mr. Wallace's weak excuses. The courtroom is basically a reality show now, with everyone yelling and interrupting each other. It's like a soap opera, but somehow even more chaotic.
Miss Austin told me that he was married. One day, she's supposed to have snuck into his phone and sent us texting or whatever, so she called me. Did he tell you he had a girlfriend that we was in a relationship?
Mr. Wallace, ask for Ms. Roberts. When you met her, did you tell her you were married?
I forgot.
Just when you think Mr. Wallace might say something smart, he doubles down and says he'd cheat on Miss Reed again. Yep, he really said that. The audacity is off the charts.
So you don't have to go through, Judge.
Mr. Wallace, you know what? This is a sad state of affairs to see 3 beautiful young women act a fool over you.
This kicks off with a bang, setting the stage for pure chaos. Mr. Mitchell wants 2 DNA tests to confirm if he's the dad of his estranged wife's kids. Ms. Dalton admits to cheating, but hopes to patch things up. Things are heating up fast.
Mr. Mitchell, you are petitioning the court for 2 DNA tests to determine if you are the father of your estranged wife's 2 children, 2-year-old Deshaun Jr. and 1-year-old Bishop.
Mr. Mitchell shares how Ms. Dalton ditched him and their kids, leaving him to fend for himself. She handed him food stamps, wished him luck, and disappeared. Now he's not just upset, but questioning the kid's paternity. Ms. Dalton's version, even messier.
Over the past few months, Ms. Dalton put me and my kids through a lot, Your Honor. You know, she done left, and in between the last 7, 8, 9 months, you know, she done made us struggle. She done walked out on us, Your Honor. What I'm trying to do right now, Your Honor, because I get very emotional when it comes to talking to my kids, because
that's understandable.
How she abandoned us, Your Honor.
Ms. Dalton claims Mr. Mitchell's exaggerating and explains she left due to personal struggles. Yes, she cheated, but their relationship was already rocky. She insists she didn't abandon the family maliciously. Both sides are throwing blame, and the tension only builds.
In the beginning, me and Deshaun, we weren't really serious when we had our first son. I did cheat on him in the beginning.
Your Honor, what
he
it
went
is?
away for some time, and like I said, from the beginning, I've been doing everything by myself. He wasn't working. Pregnant with my first son, I worked 2 jobs to make sure that the household was taken care of. He didn't work. He gambled. You know, he didn't do anything.
Mr. Mitchell describes how he braved tough times to care for the kids, while Ms. Dalton was allegedly living her best life. She fires back, saying she worked 2 jobs to support them. The finger-pointing intensifies, and infidelity enters the conversation.
Where I was forced to leave my home.
Nobody forced her to leave. When she left me, Your Honor, and left the kids and walked out, Your Honor, I was on our city bus in the freezing cold with my 2 kids.
I did the
going
same.
to all my kids' their appointments they had to go to. I was making sure that me and my kids had what we needed, Your Honor, because I didn't have anything.
But it's also what a parent does.
Yes, Your Honor. You're absolutely right.
You get it done.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Mitchell reveals a man called claiming he was with Ms. Dalton and might be the father of her baby. She denies it, but trust is long gone. Past affairs and secret calls emerge, and things get wilder when their age gap becomes a talking point.
When there was an issue,
yes, I
you
did
admit you left.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes,
I said
did.
I was living with my sister.
So
Your
during
Honor.
the time, did you sleep with another man?
In the beginning, yes. But since we've been married, no.
She was just with another man, Your Honor, so we're still married. I don't
And we
know.
were separated, and we both agreed on the separation.
Yeah,
we weren't together. We were going to move on
Your
with
Honor,
our
I don't
lives.
talk to her. I never talked to her.
The judge highlights their age gap. He's 37, she's 21, and they married when she was 19. Both admit their marriage has been rough, with plenty of growing pains. They keep debating who's at fault as the paternity results loom.
While I empathize, would feel like to raise 2 beautiful young boys, but you constantly have a question as to whether or not they are your biological children, I'm sure that is difficult. You must have understood as a 35-year-old man, when you marry a 19-year-old, you're gonna have some growing pains in the marriage because she's still growing up.
Yes.
The moment of truth.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Mitchell, you are Bishop's father.